Hey Beth, how's it going?
Hey, Erin, it is so lovely to see you.
Oh my gosh, same thing right back at you.
Mhm.
Yeah, so today on Ask Erin, Dear Beth, I thought it might be fun or helpful. I don't know, fun. Yeah, fun. It's always fun
Fun,
hanging out with
absolutely
you.
fun.
To go through a list of conferences that we lots, you, sometimes us, and or the Cimini lab attend have attended recently and or
Mhm.
attend regularly, just to say, hey, these are the vibes at this conference. This is a thing we particularly like about it. Just to give folks out there an idea of like, hey, these are some of the conferences you might want to come to, and maybe you'll run
Mhm.
into us if you do.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of good stuff out there depending on if you're into image analysis because you're into imaging or because you're into biology or because you're into computer science, like depending on where your flavor is. Like, there's actually, as we were getting this episode ready, I was surprised just how many there are.
Yeah, yeah. And this is absolutely not even a comprehensive list of the
Mhm.
conferences that we go to. This was, things that we have gone to either a ton or very recently.
Mhm.
And so this is not exhaustive. There is way more out there, but
Mhm.
just sort of, nice broad strokes overview.
And feel free to drop in the comments if you think there's an awesome thing that we're missing, and maybe we'll see you there.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm starting here with SBI2 because that was where we most recently hung out
Mhm.
IRL, even if we didn't get any video evidence of it. Um,
We got lots of video evidence of both of us being there.
it's true. It's true. We got another podcast episode on that. But just not the two of us in the same video frame at the same time, which is silly. We should do better next time.
Oh no, we were having too much fun hanging out.
Yep, yep. So SBI2, Society of Biomolecular Imaging and Informatics. Um, yeah, so basically, like, this is our whole lab, our whole imaging platform, our sister lab, Carpenter Singh lab, like the entire our whole office area disappears for the duration of SBI2. Everybody goes. So this is where you will, find the imaging platform very thoroughly represented at this conference.
I think we were 10% of the attendees at the 2025 SBI2 meeting.
Yeah, yeah, we took grabbed a photo of Carpenter Lab alums, and it was a solid chunk of the current conference. So SBI2, um, I think is cool and unique in that it is a balance of both academic and industry and pharma. It seems like 50-50. That's a total vibes-based number, but
Mhm.
a pretty good split of getting both of those populations of researchers together in the same room. So you get to hear both a lot of you know, more basic tech dev that happens more likely in an academic setting, as well as application that is more likely to happen in a biotech pharma setting. So pretty cool bringing those groups together.
Yeah. Yeah, it's on the sort of like spectrum between like super focused on one area to like a little bit for everything. It's more on the super focused side, and it ends up being about sort of 250 to 300 people, which is a meeting size that I personally like.
Yeah.
It's pretty focused. You end up mostly talking about what do we do with lots of images and figuring out sort of hidden information from image data. If that's something you like, you will hear about it for 3 days. If that's not something you like, it might not be the right conference for you unless you want to learn more.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Though it does have, since it is a society meeting, it does have very clearly an education focus and recognizes that people are attending that are coming from the sort of wet lab, wet lab and dry lab sides, where, people that have the expertise in running the experiments in the wet lab, that wanting to understand more about the computational end, as well as, people who have computational expertise, but really want to start diving into the biology, driving that. So, again,
That's a super good point. Yeah.
yeah, a bit of a spread in that and a nice way of bringing it all together. So, yeah, so that's SBI2. Um, okay, ASCB, American Society for Cell Biology. This is one that is probably like the least focused conference that we regularly attend. I would say,
Mhm.
cell biology being a very large term. And so you are likely to find a little bit of everything related to cell biology at this conference.
Mhm. Yeah. No, it's especially it feels like it's always a lot of cytoskeleton stuff.
Mhm.
It's one of the definitely if you love cytoskeleton, you will love ASCP, but it's a great place to hear about things that you don't usually think about and actually expose yourself to a different part of cell biology than, perhaps you would otherwise.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point.
There's also
Um,
usually, at least the last several years, some good working groups on like how do we bring microscopy data people together and things like that, which have been really cool.
yeah, nice. And I, also have heard it as because it is so big and so many people attend, um, smaller groups will use it as an excuse of like, hey, let's pull together a pre-ASCB, educational day, but, tacking it on as a great way for researchers and collaborators all across the country who are already planning on being at the same place at the same time will add on a day, to either end to be able to more directly focus on a project. So you may have a friend or collaborator that this would be the perfect opportunity to excuse to like get you co-located. That's the word I was to say, co-localized, but
Oh, localized works.
that
I'll allow
works.
it.
That works. Yeah. Um, all right. SLAS. So, yeah, there's supposed Society for Lab
Lab automation and screening.
Thank you. Yep, always stumble through that one. Um, so SLAS um, is, I think, does have some academics that come. We often come to SLAS meetings, but it is, I think, much more heavily weighted to biotech and pharma.
Mhm.
And very also focused on, well, automation, right, being the part of it. So, as an academic, dry lab academic, it's actually pretty fun to walk the conference floor and look at all the robots that are for sale.
So
Because
many robots.
so many robots. I'm never interacting with them or seeing them in the lab because we just sit in front of our computer screens. But so if you're interested in uh, if that is already an area of your expertise, or you're interested in learning more about the automation, then that is a cool opportunity. They also are very focused on tech development. So there's focus and awards for startups that are driving technology, and for, technological development, which can be cool to sort of keep an eye on. They also have interest groups. So SLAS again being, fairly broad, but then have much more narrowly defined interest groups that either meet at the main SLAS meeting, we'll have an afternoon, or even sometimes smaller subset conferences, like we've been to SLAS AI, that are then, much smaller meetings under the SLAS umbrella that can
Mhm.
be a cool way to connect to people with a much narrower interest.
Yeah. And I will say, If you're an early career person, SLAS offers mentoring that you can sign up for. Like you can, if you're going to the main meeting, you can sign up to say like, here are some people who volunteered to just like meet with people to sort of give them like a little bit of career coaching or whatever. And so I've done that in the past, and it's been really fun to get to meet with people who are like, how did you get to be where you are? And I think it's great. I wish more meetings did that. So it's a very cool aspect of SLAS.
Nice. Yeah, totally. Okay, cytodata. Cytodata Society also has a regular conference, and this is much more data focused, as one might infer from the name. So there is, you know, let's see, we started with SBI2, sort of the one end of SBI2, that is the what do we do with large amounts of image data. Like that is the focus of cytodata, um,
Mhm.
and really driving, working together and driving the data exploration end of high content image experiments. It also, they often have workshops, and they often have hackathons. So if you like to, meet up with new folks and dive right into a project and, make some fast and dirty code, then that can be a really fun opportunity to, and the cool thing about it, that uh, a hackathon sort of environment, like it doesn't, you bringing together people of different skill sets and, different expertise and different levels of proficiency with coding. So you don't have to, you can participate and have a fun time and even be on a winning team, even if you don't feel like you are the most confident coder because you are a biologist who learned to code rather than being a trained software engineer, um,
Mhm.
or data scientist. And so that can be a fun thing about this conference.
Yeah. And the connections I've made to folks at Cytodata hackathons, like people that now I'm like, oh, if I need something in this area, I will just totally email, a person that I met at one of these hackathons because spending 2 days sort of solving a problem together really, you know, helps you make friends.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, yeah, speaking of hackathons, SciPy is another conference that we went to this year. Um, so this is about scientific Python computing, uh, which again is much more broad in, both niche and broad, uh, narrow in that it is science focused and Python, but also end up interacting with people that are not bioimaging at all. People coming from engineering, people coming from, I thought it was really cool. I got to go to some workshops on geospatial imaging, which, so a lot of the tools and methods that they use are very helpful and relevant. So it was really cool to learn about that, but not something that I would generally be exposed to all that much, because I'm, you know, focused on the bio part of the bioimaging. And there's also hackathons, usually tied to one end of SciPy.
Yeah. And I will say, as somebody who is a self-taught coder, I felt kind of nervous about like going to the sprints, and everybody there is super lovely and welcoming. And there are people there who are professional software engineers who've been coding their whole lives, but there are also people who are sort of area experts in geospatial imaging or astronomy or biology, who just, like to code as part of their job. And nobody I talked to was like, "Oh, you don't have a software degree?" They're like, "Oh, cool, nice to meet you." So it was very friendly and welcoming.
Nice.
They
Um,
also have a pun off basically at the end of each day, which I very much enjoyed.
yeah, yeah, I did not make it to that, and I do feel a little jealous that that didn't fit into my schedule. Yeah, ABRF is another one that we go to often. It is Okay, Association for Biomolecular Research Facilities. Oh, there we go. I could have actually just read it right there. I didn't have to pull that one out of my brain. But there we go.
Resource
Yeah,
facilities.
yeah. Yeah, so ABRF, so biomolecular resource facilities, also known as core facilities, which we are, the imaging platform, Broad Institute calls its core facilities platforms. But we have the designation of being a special SSF specialized service facility. And um, so ABRF is a gathering of folks that are involved in core facilities across the United States. And um, it is cool in that, if you are so way beyond bioimaging, there are all sorts of cool things happening in core facilities. So I get to go, was looking crazy talks that I never would have thought about attending, like solving crimes using mass spectrometry. I'm like, whoa, that was really fun. But also they have a really strong emphasis on networking, and career development and sort of community for the unique challenges that core facilities face that are different than a sort of traditionally grant-funded lab. So it's a pretty cool organization to get involved in, if you are a part of a core facility or interested in being a part of a core facility, as a career path. They also have smaller subset meetings, regional meetings, again, like spread across the United States. So you can, at those smaller meetings, even connect more directly with people that are geographically closer to you, and really get to make friends and community that way.
Yeah. And since a lot of core facility people are pretty isolated within their individual organizations, a facility might only be one or two people, it's a great way to sort of have people who are just excited to connect to their peers.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
also have some research groups. So for example, the light microscopy research group for ABRF has done some very cool studies about like how well can people actually like can people tell if they're doing a good job doing segmentation and things like that. There's the and they do these research studies to actually try to figure out how well research goes and can facilities do anything to make research better, which I think is a great mandate.
Yeah, totally. Um, okay, we went to the OME community meeting this year. Where okay, quick anecdote. Uh in the in the like general, arrive in the evening general intro talk. It was, raise your hand if you came to this meeting for this reason, and raise your hand if you came for this reason. And I sort of leaned over and whispered to Beth, like, I don't know when to raise my hand. I don't know why I'm here. What am I doing here? Um, and then it's a small meeting. So then everybody went to the local bar in the town. This was at Woods Hole. So, wandered away into the bar that evening to hang out with the other folks that were there. And there were a few people that I had met before and interacted with, but the majority of the people there I did not know. So I was like, okay, time to sit down and make some new friends. So plopped down, and within 5 minutes, um, I had a whole table full of people that were just absolutely geeking out about my personal recipe collection and metadata curation of just my, my own hobby of curating and baking and cooking. And so, 5 minutes into the drinks, I had found my people. So whether, they're like equally nerding out about metadata. I'm like, oh, okay, so this is why I'm here, because I love metadata in every shape or form in my personal and professional life. And so do these people. They are just as nerdy about the same thing as me. Like, okay, this is why I'm at OME.
Yep.
Yeah. So OME is open microscopy environment, groups of folks that are interested in, particularly in, standards. I know, so like not the sexiest top, like metadata and standards, which don't excite lots of people, but if they do excite you, these are your people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Anything else that
Also has a hackathon at the end where people put together some cool projects. We hashed out with somebody at last year's hackathon, and they like helped make part of something for our bilayers project because they were just like, "Oh, that's a cool idea that builds on standards." And so, again, super nice people. If for the people who were there who weren't coders, they were like, "You can help with documentation." But if you go to the meeting, if there's a hackathon, definitely go to the hackathon too.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I2K, which is images to knowledge.
Mhm.
So okay, you are the expert on this one, Beth. You should describe I2K.
Images to Knowledge is a super interesting conference that's never been the same twice. And so, in that sense, in 2018, it was an in-person conference at EMBL. 2020, it was a round-the-clock tutorial-a-thon on during COVID. In 2022, it was a hybrid meeting. In 2024, it was an in-person meeting. And so, it's almost an experimental conference at this point. It's kind of never been the same thing twice. But what has been consistent for the past couple years is since that original 2020 around the clock hackathon, every year except 2021 has had major aspects of 20 of I2K that have been about doing tutorials. So in the 2022 hybrid meeting, the mornings and the afternoons were kept for tutorials. Um, and then since then, we've been running these online events every year. In odd years, they're the only event, and we call them halfway to I2K. And in even years, they run alongside the actual event. And what they are is we just say, here's a tutorial-a-thon. We make a big Zoom platform, the people who make the tools that you like, and they don't have to be people who make the tools. We have a lot of people who show up and they're like, I really love QPath and I want to teach other people how to do a thing in QPath that I just learned how to do if anybody wants to show up. And it turns out people do want to show up if you build it. And so we every year that we've done this, I've had 30 plus different tutorials on different aspects of image analysis. You can register and attend for free and go to as many of those as your schedule allows. And it's just a great way for the community to share what's exciting to do in image analysis. We've just started planning a 2026 in-person meeting, but there's hopefully going to be some hybrid events too.
Awesome. Yeah. And there will be a special Ask Me Anything episode of Ask Erin, Dear Beth that we're gonna record at halfway to I2K this year. So,
Mhm.
um,
So please check that out because that will have probably already been posted by the time this episode goes up.
yeah,
But
yeah,
we will hopefully also do it again next year.
yeah, love it. Um, okay. Last couple ones here to mention. I pulled up Globias, the Global Bioimage Analyst Society, but there's a bunch of, maybe we have a lot. Uh, I also pulled up here Bina. There's UBias.
Mhm.
What other what other
Mhm.
global ones do we have here?
Mhm. Yeah, so BINA is not technically global, but there is global bioimaging that is sort of BINA is the sort of equivalent of global bioimaging. But Um, these are all scientific societies that have conferences. And so if you want to get together with folks to talk about bioimaging or bioimage analysis, they have great meetings every year. But they're also great societies that have a lot of like working groups. And so I'm in Bioimaging North America's working group for image analysis. And it's cool to get to meet friends and, talk to people who do that around the country. And in GloBias, I get to do that with people who are around the world. Um, One of my favorite things about GloBias that isn't a conference, but that can sort of maybe be a thing that sort of leads you to going to a GloBias event someday is we have an online database where you can say, Hi, I'm a bioimage analyst. I want to be contacted about opportunities to do stuff, or I just want people to be able to find me on the internet so that people who work near you who want help with bioimage analysis can find you. Or if you want to find somebody who does bioimage analysis, you can use that tool to find somebody who's near you. And Globias is still a pretty new society. We only started it a couple years ago, but they just had their first sort of big couple hundred person conference and hopefully more conferences in years to come.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the neat thing about actually lots of what I put up here is societies that have
Hmm.
conferences. And so even beyond, for Globius and Bina being two of the examples I pulled up, they have uh, all sorts of professional enrichment and opportunities for networking and connecting and learning and
Hmm.
super informative newsletters
Hmm.
that are all a way to get involved, a way to learn more. And then also they have conferences where you can do a lot of that in person, but definitely worth uh, checking out checking out what the society has to offer even beyond the conference.
Yeah. No, it's a great point. Like newsletters can be a great way to just see like is the society like interested in things that I'm interested in? You know, many years I don't make it to ASCB just because December's hard, but I have their newsletter and so I can see, what's ASCB up to. And I definitely don't make it to all of these every year because I need to sometimes get work done, but it's great to keep up with those societies and see the important work that they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for talking through that list.
Mhm.
Again, this is not an exhaustive list of the conferences and societies that we love and attend. This was just, again, some of the most recent ones that we have been
Mhm.
actively involved with. So if there are other similar societies or conferences that you love, let us know, drop it in the chat, and maybe we could repeat this in the future sometime with another chunk of ideas for folks.
All right. That was so fun. Thank you.
Thanks, Beth.
See you later.